What does Batman do when he's not fighting crime? What does the Bat family do that makes them a family? What goofy adventures could vigilantes have when they're just being themselves? Well, these are the questions and answers that we get following the Batman Webtoons series. And we did an entire series of Season 1, which is 1 through 50 of those. So today I wanted to bring you the full story version of those stories. This is Comicstorian. I take comic books, I turn them into audio drama so that you know what to add to your collection. And today we're going to be looking at the Batman Webtoons, issues 1 through 50, Season 1. As the movers pull up and they begin to unload, Duke grabs a box, looking up stating that he still can't believe that this is happening. Bruce walks out of Wayne Manor, telling him welcome to his new home. Hopefully, he'll be enjoying his stay. Alfred then comes over, stating that he and Master Bruce will oversee the movers. He should let Master Damian give him a tour. He was quite excited about his arrival. Damian stands over by the stairs as Duke says that he can help with the movers. Alfred tells him nonsense. They will take care of everything. Off he goes. Moments pass and the two of them begin to walk down the halls as Duke says that it's one thing to visit, but another thing to be living in Wayne Manor. Damian stops in front of a portrait telling him that this is the family, minus Barbara, Stephanie, Luke, and Kate. Father has been meaning to update it. Duke looks at the portrait of the other Bat family members asking if they all live here, and Damian tells him no, just himself, Father, and Pennyworth. As Damian shows Duke his room and other places in the manor, they stop by the cave and Duke says that he's been meaning to ask, what's with the giant dinosaur? Damian calmly tells him that it eats intruders, and Duke, not sure if he's joking, tells him that that's pretty cool. As the two head outside, Damian also mentions to be careful when moving around the grounds. There are traps everywhere. And just as Duke begins to panic, Bruce walks out telling Damian that Alfred could use his help for a moment. As Damian heads inside, Bruce smiles. How was the tour? Duke says that he never realized that the dinosaur took out intruders. And Bruce laughs, telling him that Damian may have been having a little fun at his expense. The dinosaur is just a souvenir from an old case. Duke scoffs, telling him that he should have known. The yard probably isn't booby-trapped like he said either. Bruce tells him that that one is actually true. Just finished installing the laser grid a few weeks back. Duke stares for a moment in disbelief, but Bruce says that he knows moving into a new home can be tough. It'll be a bit of adjustment, but they're all here for him. Duke tells him thanks, and Bruce pats him on the back, telling him, welcome to the family. As the night of patrolling ends, the family begins to dress down out of their costumes, and Duke says that he is unsure why everyone decided to come back here. Cassandra smiles and opens the door to the dining room, stating that they have a tradition here. Duke looks at the table full of sweets, stating, whoa. As they sit down, he grabs a cookie and says that if no one gets injured, Alfred makes pastries for everyone? Cassandra tells him, yeah, Alfred's cookies have even won awards. This is their... But she stops, and everyone suddenly notices there is only one cookie left. Everyone begins to look at each other with shifty eyes. And as a brawl breaks out over the last cookie, Bruce quietly sits sipping his coffee from his world's greatest father mug. But through the scuffle, Damian jumps out with the cookie, yelling out, I got it! This is why I am the superior Robin. None of you are equal. At that moment, Jason tackles him, taking the cookie, yelling, suckers! Damian leaps up onto Jason's back to rescue the delicious confection when it flies out of Jason's hand and into Bruce's cup. Everyone stops, staring to see what Bruce is going to do. And when he looks at it, he smiles. He takes the cookie, waving to everyone. Bring it. As he taunts, Cassandra kicks it out of his hand, and Alfred catches it. He clears his throat, and then laughs, stating, none worse for wear, I see. Welcome home, everyone. As Jim Gordon sighs, setting his coat on the chair, he sits down telling Barbara that he hopes that she didn't wait too long. She laughs. It wasn't too long. I ordered your usual and some coffee. He smiles, asking if anything interesting happened at the library. And Babs tells him no, just helped a kid with some reading. She could just tell him that it was actually Damian understanding the note in the Batmobile, telling him that he's too young to drive, but Jim says that that's rewarding. Anything else? She tells him that she did help some people find their way around, though in actuality those people were Tim Drake and Stephanie as they staked out the wrong bank that was being robbed. Jim then asks, did you at least get to relax? And she laughs, oh, she got a little workout done. She just didn't tell him that her workout was in the form of bashing a thug's head with a bat. She asks, what about him? Anything exciting? And Jim tells her nothing too unusual. Just a couple of vigilantes stopped a bank robbery in a nick of time. She sips her coffee and scoffs. Yeah, no thanks to them. Jim pauses. What did you say? And she laughs. Oh, it's nothing, Dad. Chapter 4. Alert. As the alarms go off, Bruce is sitting at his Bat computer seeing that there is yet another security breach. 3 safe houses within 4 months have been hit, and all the Bat tech was stolen. He'd always ended up being a little late to even see that he had been hit, but not this time. Thankfully, the new Bat alarms were set up to catch the thief. He suits up, racing over to where the alarm was tripped, asking, who would be bold enough to steal from Batman in broad daylight? Riddler? Bane? And as he steps in, he finds his gadgets have already been ransacked. He was too late. He looks around when suddenly he hears a flushing noise. He braces himself as he turns back. And out of the bathroom, Jason Todd casually strolls out. After their awkward meeting, Jason laughs. It was like this when I found it. You really should take better care of your things, Bruce. Jason passes by one of the knocked over boxes, seeing a grenade, and he takes it. And as he laughs, he runs out the door. Okay, bye! Batman sighs, cleaning up the mess. He sends Jason the latest gadgets every month. This is unbelievable. Chapter 5. Arm Day. It was workout day for the Bat family. And while everyone begins their routines, Dick notices Jason taking his time and makes a joke asking if he's having a light day. Jason scoffs that he was just getting warmed up, and he quickly finishes his 100 push-ups. And Tim laughs. Haha, that's nothing. Do your push-ups with only 2 fingers. Damian then adds, my thoughts are telling me that you're both pathetic. And he begins to do his push-ups as handstands. And finally, Dick tells him, no. This is how you do push-ups. And he starts to do one-armed, 2-fingered handstand push-ups. All 4 begin trying to up the next one of them, as Cassandra tells them that this is a very bad idea. Later that night, at dinner, everyone struggles to even lift their arms from how sore they've gotten from their workout. And while Cassandra casually eats her meal, she looks at everyone struggling to even lift their forks. Told you. Chapter 6. Favoritism. As Bruce relaxes in the library, he notices Dick walking by with a box, and he asks him what's in it. Dick tells him that there's a big sale at the Justice League store today. He figured he'd grab everyone something from their favorite heroes. Bruce smiles. That's nice of you. And then as Dick turns to leave, he notices the Superman hoodie that he was wearing. Bruce coughs. Superman. Figures. Next, while working out, Bruce runs into Jason, who is sporting some Wonder Woman sweatpants. And later, Bruce goes over some new tech with Barbara and Duke when she sees that Babs is in a black canary shirt while Duke is wearing Flash sneakers. Bruce crumples his papers and Duke asks if everything's all right. Bruce tells him, it's fine. Everything is fine. But the worst was at dinner, when he saw Stephanie Brown drinking out of a Green Arrow mug, and he slams his fist. Really? Green Arrow? Yeah, he's a Justice League member and fights crime without any powers. Batman turns furious. That's what I do! Do you shoot arrows? Are you blonde? Didn't think so. Later that night at the Watchtower, the Justice League gathers to go over their plans when Superman notices something. He whispers to Green Arrow asking, does Batman look broodier than usual? And as everyone looks at Batman, Green Arrow tells him, nah, he seems normal to me. Chapter 7. Vigilante Bingo. Once everyone is assembled in the Batcave, Duke asks what is it all about. Tim grabs Duke, telling him that this is Duke's big milestone in Vigilante Bingo. He just sent a supervillain to Arkham by himself. Cassandra gives him a high five, and Duke asks, wait, what's Vigilante Bingo? It's a little game that we play. Damian asks everyone to raise their hands if they started a superhero team. Everyone but Duke and Cassandra lift their hands. Next, Tim asks, everyone raise your hands if you've ever changed your hero name. Everyone but Duke raises their hands. Cassandra asks, how about being trained by assassins? Everyone but Duke and Dick raise their hands. Tim asks, wait, didn't you train with Deathstroke? I have no idea what that even means. Dick responds, coyly. Jason leans in and asks, okay, raise your hand if you've ever been murdered and brought back to life. Everyone starts to raise their hand, and Dick asks, wait, are we counting the crime syndicate thing? Jason yells, no! And Tim tells him, yes. Duke then stares for a moment and asks, are you guys for real? I don't want to play this game. Dick laughs, telling him that there are fun ones too. Like, who here has played a trick on Batman in the field? Everyone begins to raise their hand, and Damian says, only because I was made an accomplice by Dick. Exchanging father's smoke bombs for glitter bombs was idiotic. And Duke laughs. Now that's the story I want to hear. Next we have chapters 8, 9, and 10, Crush parts 1, 2, and 3. Duke used to think that being a superhero was just about the scariest thing you could do. That was until you saw Anna. As he stares from behind the school building, Dick sneaks up asking what is he looking at. And when he notices, he laughs, telling him, "Just ask her out." Duke yells at him, "No, maybe. But if I were to hypothetically ask her out, how should I do that, Dick?" Dick tells him, "Just ask if she wants to go to the movies or get some coffee. What's the worst that can happen? She tells you no? Also, throw in a pun. Ladies love puns." Duke sighs, telling him that Jason is right. "You do give terrible advice." Later in chemistry, Duke is paired with Anna for their project, and he says that he was wondering. He was thinking about them and as he pours liquid into a beaker, she tells him, "Don't do that!" Duke sighs. "Oh." And she goes, "No, not that! As they look at the beaker with the new mixture, it suddenly explodes. Later, outside of the school, Duke is sitting, stating that he should have never listened to Dick. And then Anna comes out. "Oh, hey, I was glad I could catch you before you left. I wanted to give you something." Duke asks her what is it, and Anna hands him a card telling him, "My number. In case you ever wanted to study or maybe go see a movie or something, unless you don't want to, that's fine too." He jumps up. "I'd love to see a movie with you or whatever." And she smiles, telling him, "Okay, we have a date then." Duke then stares at the card, giving a very triumphant, "Yes!" A little bit later, it was time to wind down from another workout at the Batcave when Stephanie notices Duke texting someone. She asks him who is it. He's been smiling all day and he plays it off as nothing. But she swipes his phone and says, "Oh my God, do you have a girlfriend? How long has this been going on? From these texts, I'm going to guess a couple of weeks." While he tries to get his phone back, Duke tells him, "Way to go." And Damien scoffs, "Ah, gross." Another message comes in and Stephanie reads, "I'm excited for tonight." And she shouts, asking, "You have a date tonight?" Duke snatches the phone, telling her that it's none of her business. But as he leaves, Stephanie looks back at Damien and Tim, asking, are they thinking what she's thinking? Later that night at the fancy restaurant, Anna looks around, stating that this place is really nice. And Duke laughs. My brother Dick suggested it, and Duke then stops, and he looks over and sees a very obvious disguise. Stephanie is hiding herself behind a menu with a fake mustache, asking, "Did he see?" Tim peeks over wearing a wig and a large coat, stating, "Yeah, he may have noticed." Stephanie begins to twirl her mustache. "I have no idea how he could have spotted us." And Damien takes a sip of his drink. "Because your disguises are idiotic." Tim then waves to Duke and Anna, telling them not to mind them. And Stephanie cheers, "You're doing amazing, sweetie!" Anna asks if that's his family, and Duke says, "Not after I murder them." Anna then takes his hand and says that it's actually kind of funny. And Duke asks, "The date isn't ruined?" She tells him that his family doesn't seem scary at all, and she isn't going to go anywhere. And as the two share their sweet moment, Damien yells out, "Blah!" Later, a little bit further into their relationship, as the moon is hanging over Wayne Manor, Duke finds himself sitting on the roof asking himself what went wrong. Things between him and Anna were going so well. What did he miss? She broke up with him, giving him the old line that it's not you, it's me, and asked if they could still be friends. And at that moment, a window opens with Cassandra coming out, laying her head on Duke's shoulder. "Sorry." Nightwing comes out asking if they have room for one more, and Duke asks, "Does everyone know?" Nightwing tells him, "Well, we all have detective training." Damien's watching the door for when Bruce comes up. "For whenever you're ready for that post-breakup pep talk, we'll all be here." Cassandra leans in on him, telling him it's going to be okay. And Duke says that she wanted to be friends, but how can they go back to being friends? Nightwing tells him it's okay to need space. Give yourself time to heal. Duke tells him, yeah, but it doesn't make this feel any better. Duke begins to cry, and Cassandra tells him it will get better. And Nightwing tells him they've got him. Before going out on patrol, Bruce gathers everyone so that they can each select a villain for the night to take down. First was Kite Man. Who wants to take point? Anyone? With Dick, Tim, Steph, and Cass all remaining silent, Bruce says, "Fine, Stephanie, he's yours." Steph says, "Yeah, about that, hard pass. He keeps trying to be my nemesis, and I'm all like, why are you so obsessed with me? No means no." That is not a valid reason. But Steph crosses her arms. Hard pass. So Bruce sighs. "We'll come back to Kite Man. What about Baffler?" Tim asks him, "What is that, a knockoff Riddler?" Bruce tells him, "Thank you for volunteering, Tim." Tim looks at Dick and says, "Can you take this one? I'll give you $20. And Dick tells him, "Nah, no deal, man." Finally, Bruce brings up the last one, Condiment King, and Steph laughs. "I'll take Kite Man if it means I don't have to deal with Condiment King." Sold. Dick, Cass? Dick looks at Cass, telling her that she owes him, and she promptly tells him no. But after a few moments of hard staring, Dick finally sighs. "Fine, I'll take Condiment King. Even though it took me 3 weeks to get the smell of mustard out of my uniform last time. 3 weeks!" Bruce lets out a sigh of relief. Thank God. I hate fighting Condiment King. Number 12 is escalation. It was a relaxing morning as Tim gets to work on some of his homework when suddenly Damien slams open the door shouting, "That is my pen!" Yeah, sorry, needed something to write with. Almost done though, and Damien snatches it out of his hands. "No, you give it back!" Damien storms off with Tim sipping his coffee. He really needs to learn how to share. The next day, Tim gets ready to make his morning coffee when he notices his favorite mug is missing. He looks over to see Damien with it, but the mug is half broken and rather dirty. "What did you do?" Damien tells him, I used it for an art project. You should really learn to share, you know? After that encounter, for the most part, they were making each other's lives a living nightmare. Defensive laser in the bedroom, glitter in the shower, replacing the shampoo with Joker green hair dye. And as it goes on, Bruce calls both Damien and Tim to the cave to tell them, "You guys need to stop the pranking." They both tell him that they have no idea what he's talking about, but Bruce tells him, "Do not make me call Alfred." They both immediately shake hands and consider the matter handled. Yeah, stopping. Got it. Number 13 is stupid traditions. As Dick puts on the finishing touches to Damien's birthday party, he tells Damien to remember. Smile! Dick then grabs his phone to take a picture and Damien huffs, telling him that they should just cut the cake and get this over with. Dick grabs Damien for a selfie, telling him that it's not every day a Wayne celebrates his 9th birthday. And after snapping a photo, Barbara whispers that she has some good news. They've secured the you-know-what. Damien looks at some of his gifts and says that it's a stupid tradition for stupid children. These gifts are nowhere near as impressive as the swords that Mother used to run at me with. Just then, Bruce, Jason, and Cass arrive, and Bruce says that he's sorry for being late, but he wasn't sure what to get him. But Dick and Cass suggested, well, it was Dick's idea. He went to the adoption agency to meet all of, but before he could finish, a small dog barks, jumping out of the bag that Cass is holding, and Damien looks at them. "You got me a puppy?" Damien pets the puppy, stating that Mother never let him have a pet. Always said attachments to living things made you weak. But after giving the puppy a hug, he sets him down. "Sit, Murder King! Sit!" Barbara stares, telling him that that is not a proper name for a dog. And once everyone is gathered, Dick brings out the birthday cake and everyone begins to sing happy birthday. As much as Damien tells them that this is a stupid tradition, he smiles as he sits next to his new best friend, Murder King. Number 14 is unaccompanied. As Bruce finishes buttoning his cuffs, Alfred brings him his ties, telling him that he brought the car around the front already. But is he going to the gala alone? Perhaps one of the kids could accompany him. But Bruce thinks back on what happened each time he brought one of the kids. When he brought Damien, Damien pulled out a knife on an old woman who pinches his cheeks. Tim passed out in the middle of dinner. And yes, he knows that Tim was up for 36 hours, which is why he told him to not go to the dinner. Cass somehow got on the roof in heels and hid from everyone. Jason, we aren't going to go into what Jason did. As for Dick, he was busy showing off by swinging from chandelier to chandelier. So Alfred asks, what about Duke? And Bruce says no. It's a school night and Duke has a test in the morning. So once Bruce is ready, Alfred tells him that it looks like he'll have to brave it alone. But Bruce stops and asks, what about Alfred? He could always come. Alfred turns up his nose. You certainly don't pay me enough for that, sir. Number 15, family ties. As Bruce knocks out his bad guy for the night, he radios to Alfred asking if he got the tickets, and Alfred tells him that it's in the Batmobile along with a change of clothes. Bruce says good, he wants a clear view of the stage for Cass's first solo. He isn't going to let Margie from the PTA get the best seats again. Her kid isn't even that good of a dancer. Alfred says that he knows it's not a competition. Right, sir? But as Bruce goes to respond, he sees the bat signal and tells Alfred that he has to go. Gordon's calling. But don't worry, I'll be there. So a short while later in the theater, the lights go dim, and Alfred calls Bruce, asking where is he? Is he en route? Bruce crashes through the wall, telling him that he's in pursuit of Firefly. I'll be there soon. Alfred tells him all right. Miss Cassandra doesn't go on until after the intermission anyway. So a short while later again, Alfred calls, telling him that it is in fact intermission. Where are you, sir? Bruce gets in the car, telling him he's on his way. He just needs, but then there's a scream. And Bruce says that he has to go. Save his seat. Alfred sighs. Very well. But as Bruce finally catches a break, Cass takes to her ballet routine. Bruce screeches up to the theater, flowers in hand, slamming open the car door, trying to catch his breath, telling her, I'm here. And as he looks up, everyone claps as Cass finishes. And Bruce says to himself, I missed it? Number 16 is the continuation of that story. After a few nights of staring at his computer, Alfred tells Bruce that he has met his quota for brooding. He should come upstairs. Bruce immediately hunches over and begins furiously typing, stating that he's working. Alfred asks if that's what they're calling it these days. When he was a boy, they simply called it avoiding your problems. Bruce turns back, telling him that he isn't avoiding anything, and Alfred tells him that Miss Cassandra would beg to differ. Bruce sighs. She won't want to talk to me. And Alfred asks, have you even tried? Or did you assume, sir? For a moment, Bruce tries to think of a response, but then he holds his head, saying, I screwed up. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to be a good father and the Batman that Gotham needs. Alfred places his hand on Bruce's shoulder, telling him that he does what he can. And when he fails, he tries to do better next time, and that's all. No one expects you to be perfect, sir. Bruce tells him that he's pretty sure that Damian expects it. And Alfred says, a Wayne with a demanding expectation. How unusual. Now, what are you going to do about Miss Cassandra? And Bruce turns to him. Fix it. A few moments later, Bruce knocks on the door to the study, asking Cass if he can come in. He gives her the flowers that he was going to give her and tells her that he's sorry that he missed her performance. He should have been there. He can't promise he'll be perfect, but he does promise to do better. This family is important to him. She is important to him. Cass hugs him, stating that she knows, and Bruce says that he really wants to see her dance, if she's willing. She asks what should she do, and Bruce tells her, well, I rented out the theater, just for tonight, just for us. Number 17 is Top Chef. As the holidays begin to quickly approach, Bruce Wayne has had to make many appearances around the world, but unfortunately for him and Alfred, their flight back home got delayed. Dick says that Alfred is going to be so stressed when he gets back. He hates missing a day of prep for holiday meals. Maybe they could bake the pies for him. That would be a huge time saver for him. Kate says that they know that is literally the only rule that Alfred has, right? Not to touch anything in the kitchen. And Dick tells everyone, look, it's just pies. We're gonna get into the holiday spirit. What could possibly go wrong? And as he rallies everyone into the kitchen, Kate drinks her coffee, stating that it's going to be a disaster. As everyone gets in there, Dick says that Alfred usually makes pumpkin and apple pie. And then Cass and Tim remind him that there's also pecan and strawberry rhubarb. Everyone is assigned different duties for preparing the pies, and as they start to put the ingredients in, the pies are all looking a little flat. That's when Cass comes up with a great idea, that they're going to create the mega pie. They're going to throw all of the ingredients for all of the pies into one pie. And that pie comes out looking not so great. But with all the preparations, the kids didn't realize the time, and Bruce and Alfred begin to make their return from their flight. Alfred arrives staring at the messy kitchen, and Dick tells him, before you say anything, we made the pie for Thanksgiving. Alfred looks at the pie with dead eyes. I have no words. So the next night, the Bat family gathers around for Thanksgiving dinner. And at the end, everyone stares at the mega pie, with Kate telling them that she did try to stop them. Alfred leans in and whispers, you need to try harder next time. Number 18 is Mother and Son. Growing up with the life that Damian had, one can sense when they're being watched. It makes it difficult to maintain a civilian identity. But Damian promised his father that he would not draw too much attention from the others. However, one does not keep Talia al Ghul waiting. As Damian approaches, Talia says that he kept her waiting for 7 hours. It would appear that he needs to adjust some of his priorities. Damian sighs, asking her what does she want, and Talia says to test his abilities since he's been training under his father. Nothing more. Damian remembers what training was like with his mother, but he also knows that there's something else. Damian tells her that if she has a question, ask it. He didn't come here to be judged. She pauses for a moment and then asks, are you happy? This life that you've chosen with your father and all the others, does it make you happy? Before, Damian thought that growing up in the League of Assassins, he would never know happiness. But when he came to live with his father, he found a new way to live. A family unlike anything that he could have had with the Assassins. Damian turns. Things aren't perfect. Sometimes we fight, sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes father forgets that he doesn't have to do things alone anymore. But yes, the answer to your question is yes, I am happy here. Talia smiles and says that she knows that she made some difficult decisions in her life. Some she is sure of, some she regretted. Letting go of him was the hardest decision that she ever had to make. But if it has allowed him to find something good, then she is happy for him. As Talia turns to leave, Damian asks if he'll ever see her again. And Talia laughs. telling him to keep his eyes open and his skills sharp. She's sure that she'll be here. Number 19 is Bat Cow's Day Out. After doing some of his homework in the barn, Damien pets Bat Cow, telling them thanks for the company. He'll be back to feed them dinner. Don't get into any trouble while he's gone. But as Damien leaves, Bat Cow notices that Damien did not lock the barn door. So after mooing to Alfred the cat, who has no relation to Alfred Pennyworth, the two sneak out, and they go into Wayne Manor to find themselves something to eat. It's there that they spot Cass and Steph drawing on Dick while he's sleeping on the couch, almost giving themselves away, but managing to quietly sneak off. The next room that they stopped by was Duke's, who happened to be practicing his criminal banter but not having much luck. Finally, they found Bruce and Damien playing a game of chess, and as they stepped away, Bat Cow accidentally knocked open the door. Alfred the cat quickly jumped in to distract and knocked over the chessboard. Bruce looks back, asking, "I could have sworn that I saw." And Damien asks him, "Saw what?" With almost getting caught, Bat Cow decides that it's time to go back to the barn. But being a cow, they can't exactly close and lock the barn door from the outside. When Alfred walks by to do some of his gardening, he sees it unlocked, but also sees Bat Cow still inside. He closes the door, telling them, "Thank goodness that I caught this before the cow could escape." But as he turns to leave, he looks at the ground and notices a present left behind by Bat Cow. And our last story is number 20, Daydreaming. All was calm in the Batcave as Duke sits bored out of his mind when suddenly the alarms sound off. The computer warns of an intruder, and as he looks around, he sees ninjas rappelling in. Duke gets ready to fight off the intruders, but that's when he sees the computer ask him if he wants it to activate the cave defenses. He slams the button, and seconds later, there's a loud roar as he looks back to see the giant T-Rex model turn and chomp down on one of the ninjas, swallowing. And then roars again, and the other intruders begin to climb back out. But before they could escape, Duke throws a batarang, cutting their rope, sending him falling into the T-Rex's open mouth. After eating the last of the ninjas, Duke just yells out, "That was awesome!" And then the T-Rex speaks. Duke, are you paying attention?" Duke snaps back to reality as Bruce is shouting, "This is important." Duke yawns, rubbing his eyes. I must have drifted off for a second. "We'll start from the beginning then. Emergency Plan M02. In the event that Gotham is overrun by an army of man-bats." Duke then lets out a sigh as he rests his head back in his hands, slowly drifting off to sleep again. With the holidays finally arriving, Bruce decided to see if anyone was up for a friendly game of chess. But as he looks around the manor, no one is to be found. He asks Alfred where everyone is, and Alfred smiles, telling him that they're out being heroes, and they assured him that they would all be back before dinner. Bruce thinks for a moment about everyone's patrol schedules, stating that the only one who would be out would be Duke. But Alfred says that there's more than one way to help people. Bruce looks around at all the trackers that he has in the family, and he finds Dick and Kate giving out food to the homeless. He finds Barbara, Steph, and Cassandra all helping build snowmen with the kids. And then he finds Luke, Fox, Jason, and Tim down at the community center playing basketball, even though Jason may have been a little rough. Finally, Duke and Damien are out helping get homes for all of the stray dogs that they found. After seeing everyone, Bruce heads home and he patiently waits as the rest of the family comes strolling in. Dick asks how was his day, and Bruce pulls everyone into a big hug. Dick asks what is it all about, and Bruce smiles. He tells them that he saw some incredible things today, and it's put him in the holiday spirit. The next story is the tournament. As everyone gathers around, Barbara tells everyone to raise their hands, and she asks if they solemnly swear to abide by the outcomes of this tournament under punishment of blackmail and embarrassment. Jason, Tim, Steph, and Cass all raise their hands, stating "I do." And Barbara says, "All right then. Allow her to welcome them all to the 5th annual Challenge of the Champions." First, they must honor Duke and Damien for distracting Bruce and Alfred. Their sacrifices will be remembered. Tim sighs, stating that he had to do it last year, and well, it wasn't fun. She then brings up an image stating that speaking of last year, Steph wore the lovely Riddler outfit for a full month as punishment for losing last year's tournament. Better luck next time, Steph. Steph takes a bow, telling them that she rocked the hat. And Jason asks if they can get to the good stuff already. What's at stake this year? Barbara pushes up her glasses. "I wanted something special for this year. and she brings up an image and everyone immediately recoils. No, anything but that. Barbara says that that's right. Dick's former costume, the discowing, complete with a sugar-deep V-neck. Now, is everyone ready to settle this on the go-kart course? You may pick up your controllers. After one intense night of gaming later, Jason sighs as everyone takes pictures of him in Dick's old costume, telling them that his life is now over. Dick says that he doesn't understand why his old suit is a punishment and not a prize. And Barbara glares, telling him that that is why he is not allowed to compete anymore. He's impossible to embarrass. The next story is opening up. With no patrol scheduled for tonight, Damien takes it upon himself to train a bit with his sword. But after seeing him a bit more aggressive than usual, Bruce asks if everything's okay. Damien says that his teacher told him to try and make friends at school. Apparently the other students find him intimidating, which is absurd. He's delightful. He swings once more, cutting the head off the dummy. And Bruce asks, "Do you want to make friends?" Damien sighs, stating that it would probably help with his cover, but I don't know how. So Bruce tells him, "All right, we can figure this out together." After gathering up the rest of the family, Steph says that making friends is super easy. He just needs to find common interests. What are some of the things that he likes? "Well, I like swords." And Duke says, "What about something a little less stabby?" Well, I've always been intrigued by world domination." And everyone stares with, well, Jason laughing. Bruce asks, "What about animals?" "Oh yeah, animals are nice." "Okay, you should go with that," Bruce tells him. Duke then asks what about clubs or sports, any of those that he likes. And Damien tells them tennis. "I didn't know that," Bruce tells his son. And Damien follows up by telling them, "I hate tennis, but a boy in a tennis team insulted my father's honor. I've been training to destroy him on the court." Bruce nervously laughs. "Jason, do you have anything else to suggest?" And Jason says that he broke his best friend out of prison once. And Damien sighs. "This isn't going well." So Bruce tells him it'll be fine, just trust your instincts. The next day, Damien goes to school telling himself that he can do this. He is the heir to the demon and the son of the bat. But once he gets into class and he sees everyone, he rushes to the bathroom, calling Steph, telling her that he needs an immediate evac now. She tells him that it sounds like he's nervous. And Damien yells, "It's all your fault! You all gave me terrible advice! How am I going to have things in common with people? I was raised by assassins!" Steph tells him that that was only for a little while. He was then a billionaire vigilante. Damien shouts that she isn't being helpful at all. He'll do it himself, like everything. So later, as Damien is sitting in class, two students begin talking about a movie and he blurts out, "I have a cow." The boys stare for a moment and tell him, "That's cool?" And they go back to their original conversation. After class, Damien's teacher calls him up for his paper and asks if he had given any thought to joining the tennis club. Damien said he isn't allowed to. The teacher says that they have other options. He could write for the school news or fight dragons in the... But before she could finish, Damien shouts, "Wait, I can fight dragons?" The teacher tells him sure. There's a Dungeons and Dragons group that is really popular. During recess, Damien sends a text to Dick, telling him that this isn't working. Maybe he should follow Jason Todd's advice and break someone out of prison. But Dick tells him to please do not do that. As Damien stares at his phone, a girl looks over. "Whoa, those are really cool. Who taught you how to draw?" And he looks down to see that his notebook is open with his drawings. "Oh, no one really. My studies were always focused on other matters." The young girl says that she gets it. Her father wanted her to be a mathlete, but drawing is way cooler. There's a group of them that go to the art room after school to work on projects and stuff. He should totally come with. Damien nervously says, yeah, sure, I'll be there." And the girl tells him, great. Her name is Skylar, by the way. After Damien gives his name, Skylar gets up to her next class, telling him, "All right, well, I'll see you later." Damien then sends a text to Dick telling him, "Mission accomplished. Maybe." And Dick tells him, "Good job. I knew you could do it." Our next story is Front Seat. As the police arrive, Bruce tells everyone, "Great job. Freeze won't be bothering anyone for a long time." Behind him, everyone shivers. Great. But grappling back across the city is not going to be fun with their numb hands. Bruce then says that he can get the Batmobile, and immediately everyone shouts out shotgun. They all look back and forth at each other while Bruce sighs. "I need to have a word with Gordon. You guys get this figured out by the time I get back." He leaves and Dick says, "Well, I'm the oldest. I should get the front seat." And Jason tells him that being ancient is not a valid reason to get the front seat. A valid reason is that the front passenger can operate all the weapon systems, and he's the best marksman if there's an emergency. Tim says that all the Batmobile systems are automated. Nice try. Damian then says that he should get it since none of them are supposed to even be here. And Dick yells out that they couldn't not help. Damian then goes on. Really? I should get it because... And Jason stops him. If you say that you're the superior Robin one more time... And Dick stops him. Yeah, it isn't nice, Damian. While everyone bickers, Bruce returns and asks if they figured it out. With no answer, Bruce puts everyone in the back seat, telling them, "You'll figure it out one day." The next story is TMI. Late at night, Catwoman swings from building to building, telling Bruce that she's going to start to think that he's getting slow. Bruce grapples and swings, pinning down Catwoman. "I'm not so sure yet." She then asks, "Well, now that you have me, what are you going to do next, Batman?" He leans in close. "I have a few ideas." Suddenly, Steph screams over the comms. "Oh dear God, make it stop!" Bruce asks, "What's wrong?" And Barbara sighs. "Bruce, you kinda had your comm line open." Bruce realizes that everyone just heard him flirting with Catwoman. "How many of you heard?" And Steph screams out, "It was literally the worst thing ever! Tim is crying and shaking in the corner!" And Damian comes over the comms. "I don't understand. Aren't you going to arrest her?" Bruce sighs. Catwoman then asks, "You forgot your comm again, didn't you?" Bruce tells her, "It's not funny." And she tells him of course it is. She gives him a kiss on the cheek and tells him, "You'll be okay." Teased mercilessly, but you'll be okay. The next two are going to be called Big Brother. With nothing planned for the day, Tim tells Dick that he's so glad that he could come. He still can't believe that they're bringing back the arcade. Dick says that he wouldn't miss it. Too many good memories. Tim gets his coat and tells them, "Yeah, memories of me kicking your butt." And Dick laughs. "To think, I was going easy on you." As the two go back and forth, Damian gets home from school telling Dick that he needs a ride to the museum, since he's a fossil anyway. Dick asks what's at the museum, and Damian tells him a xenobiology exhibit. He's supposed to write a paper about it for school. So Dick tells him, "Well, maybe we can tomorrow. I'm busy today." And Damian then says that it has to be today. Tomorrow he has to write the paper. So Dick sighs and looks back at Tim, with Tim walking by. Don't even start. Tim takes off his coat and Dick apologizes. Tim tells him, "Yeah, I know. I shouldn't be mad. Just go ahead, it's fine." So Dick tries to tell him, "Don't worry, we'll go another day." And Tim stops him. "No, we won't. There's always going to be an emergency. When was the last time you hung out with anyone for fun without having to rush off to help someone else? You have such a big heart, Dick. Sometimes I wish I could just hang out with my big brother without having to fight for it." As Tim leaves, Dick asks, "I don't do that, do I?" The next day, Dick looks out over the courtyard and Jason steps out telling him that he hates to be that guy, but being the angsty one is kind of his thing. Dick tells him that he really isn't in the mood and Jason asks, "Look, what's all the brooding about, Tim?" So Dick stops. Is Tim right though? Am I always rushing off? And Jason tells him, "Well, yeah, you kind of are. I just came out here to hide from Bruce, but maybe I need to give you a talking to. I do have a few thoughts." And Dick sighs. "Well, on with it then. Well, Tim wants to spend time with you, but someone's always gonna need something and then you're gone. Everyone knows you're goody little two-shoes, so we're all going to keep asking you for help. But you do know that it's okay to set boundaries, right?" Dick asks him, "What do you mean?" And Jason goes on, "You're allowed to carve out time for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. When someone needs something, it doesn't have to fall on you to fix it. There are plenty of us that can help. You've already showed us how to be a family. Now you just need to be a part of it." So the next day, Dick goes to Tim and tells him that they had that moment the other day. It showed him what he was really feeling. So how about they go to the arcade now? He still owes him a butt kicking. So as the two leave, Dick says that he also promises no interruptions. Unless there's a mass outbreak at Arkham or something. We should probably help with that, but otherwise nothing else, Tim. We're going to the arcade. After getting their food, Tim says that it's really great for them to make the trip out to Gotham. It's been so long since they've hung out. Cassie says, "To think, there hasn't been a single supervillain attack since they've been here." And Connor says that the city must be losing its touch. Bart then asks, "What are we gonna do now? How about we go out to the movies?" And Tim says, "Well, the Riddler took over all of the theaters nearby, so they're still closed from that." So Cassie asks, "Why do people seriously live here?" And Connor brings up an interesting question. If only we knew someone with access to a giant mansion with a home theater system. Everyone stares at Tim as he tries to tell them, no, we can't. Bruce is having a dinner party, and I'm not getting roped into that. So Connor says, well, 3 of us have super speed. And Bart tells him, please! Tim says that he isn't risking the manor, but he does have somewhere else that they can go. So later in the Batcave, Tim says as long as Bruce is busy, they should be fine. Connor asks, what about snacks? And Tim says, well, we're really not supposed to eat near the Bat computer. So Bart says that he'll make a run to the kitchen, and before Tim could even say no, Bart was already back, being a speedster and all. Cassie tells Tim to just relax, and Connor says that Batman isn't that bad. Tim says, all right, as long as no one saw Bart, we're fine. Just promise me that no one's gonna tell Bruce about this. At that moment, Bruce's voice travels through the air. It is far too late for that. Would anyone care to explain what you're doing using the state-of-the-art, multi-million-dollar computer to watch a movie? Suddenly, everyone disappears, with Tim being left on his own. He sighs, picking up everything else. Why do you always have to scare my friends? I have a reputation to maintain. Also, you know the rules about food near the computer, and it would be nice of you to make an appearance at the dinner party. Tim storms off, stating that he knew they should have met up in Smallville. The Kents are so much nicer. As Bruce yells out, I heard that! The next story is titled Driving Lessons. Even though Duke is normally a part of the day shift, Stephanie came to him with a very serious problem. Someone is trying to kill Batman with a combat drone and he needs backup with the Batmobile. But she can't drive it since she injured her arm. Duke tells her that she knows that he's never driven the Batmobile, right? And Steph smiles, telling him that there's no time like the present. Once they get in, Duke looks at the control panel, wondering which button to push to even start it. And as he reaches for one, Stephanie immediately tells him to stop. Don't hit that one. That one's the missiles. We don't fire the missiles in the Batcave anymore. After getting the car turned on, Duke races out into the streets of Gotham, with Stephanie spotting Batman being chased by the drone that she was talking about. Batman radios in that they need to get this thing off of his tail, so Steph goes ahead and switches the weapon controls to her. Duke slams his fist on a button, stating, "This one, right?" And just then, there's a click, and Steph's seat is ejected from the car. She radios back, "I can't believe you did that!" And Duke cries, telling her, "It's not my fault! None of these buttons are marked!" Batman just tells Duke, "All right, I need you to fire a missile. Can you do it?" And Duke yells, "Maybe that one! Maybe!" He activates the missiles with no issue, blowing up the drone, and Batman tells him, "Nice work. Now go pick up Spoiler." Duke turns around, stating that he isn't going to be able to drive the Batmobile again, is he? But Steph reassures him, "I almost took down a building on my first test drive. You'll be fine." The next story is Dirty Little Secret. Damian has always been prepared, very much like his father, always reading up on his enemies, knowing their weaknesses and secrets in the event that he needs to blackmail them. In fact, it isn't even hard to get secrets on everyone in the house, and it's a necessary evil. He refuses to be forced into doing somebody else's chores simply because he wasn't prepared. However, this one he has had trouble learning about. Jason Todd. His strengths are hand-to-hand combat, firearms, and being sarcastic, while his weaknesses are emotions, crowbars, and dying. There's gotta be more to it, right? As night comes around, Damian watches Jason from a distance and tries to learn a little bit more about him. But as Jason lights a match, he tosses it, outlining the phrase, "Stop following me, you little weirdo." Damian knew he had to dig further. While Jason is out on a case, Damian sneaks into Jason's apartment to try and find anything that he could use as leverage when he stumbles upon a book hidden under Jason's bed. He opens the box and the lights come on, with Jason asking what is he doing. "You're gonna be in so much trouble." But Damian tells him, "You'll do no such thing now that I know your secret." He triumphantly holds up a book titled Pride and Prejudice, written by Jane Austen, shouting, "You read Jane Austen! It's a girl book!" Jason asks, "Have you actually read it before?" And Damian tells him no. So after a short while, Damian is flipping through the book, stating that he does not trust the Wickham character. He seems wrong for Elizabeth. Jason laughs, "Just keep reading." Damian then turns to Jason. "You're not going to tell anyone we hung out, right? Your secret is safe with me, kid." The next story is All Seeing, Part 1 and 2. For Cassandra, it's easy to pick a fight, especially when you can read body language. While helping Batman take out a group of thugs, her eyes shift from one man to the next, learning about them, seeing which side they favor, their potential weaknesses. Without hesitation, Cassandra strikes at these points to take down her foes, which often comes with praise from Batman himself. However, the thing is, she can't turn it off. So later, as she heads to Barbara's to watch a movie, she can see that Barbara is getting really excited. She tells Cassandra that Steph beat her here, so she's already claimed the best spot on the couch. Cassandra smiles, walking by, and when she sees Steph, she notices that she is a bit tense by slouching with her legs pressed together. Cassandra's conclusion is that there is something wrong with Steph. She asks what's the problem, and Steph tries to deflect it, but as Cassandra presses, Steph says that it's fine. She's just upset. She overslept and missed a big exam and might have to retake the whole course again. All she wanted was a night where she could relax, but apparently it's too much to ask for. Barbara tries to remedy the situation by changing the subject. How about we forget about all of that and pick a movie? And Steph simply tells them both that she'll take a rain check. Cassandra watches as Steph leaves, seeing that she is still slumped and slow-moving, and concludes that she is hurting, which is the reason for bringing it up. She can see everyone's body language, and sometimes she wishes that she couldn't. As Cassandra and Barbara sit in silence, Barbara speaks up stating that it wasn't her fault. Steph will be okay. But Cassandra says no, it's not. I hurt her, and I couldn't help it. Barbara tells her that she is a part of a family of detectives. They all see too much. But Cassandra says no, she is different. Her father taught her to see, not speak, to be the ultimate weapon. She thought that she could be more, but what if the only thing that she can do is hurt? Barbara takes Cassandra to a mirror, asking her what she sees, and Cassandra begins to analyze herself, noting her alert gaze, scars, calloused hands, and balanced weight like a fighter. Her conclusion is that she is a dangerous person, someone made for hurting. Barbara takes her hand and asks, "Do you know what I see? Someone who is strong, determined, someone who makes their own path no matter what anyone else says, someone who loves fiercely and would do anything for others. She sees a friend and a sister, someone that she can trust with her life. She sees a hero. Do you see it too?" Cassandra looks at herself again, but evaluates things a little differently. Alert gaze, so she is focused on what's important. Scars mean that she's unafraid to keep going. Calloused hands show that she is determined to defend the others. Conclusion, a hero. So later, Cassandra goes to Steph's apartment, and as Steph answers the door, she hugs her, telling her that she's sorry. Steph laughs, telling her that she knows she wasn't really mad at her. So how about she comes inside? They can call Babs over. So the three of them end up having their movie night without the worry about what will come tomorrow. The next story is recovery. Bruce groans as Alfred finishes tending to his wounds, telling him that he should have called for backup. He's lucky to have made it back in one piece. Bruce asks what about his attackers, and Tim says of course that would be his first question. Yeah, the GCPD has them, Bruce. Bruce then goes for his communicator, but Alfred smacks his hand, telling him, "None of that. You are in strict bed rest for the next few weeks, possibly longer." Few weeks? Gotham can't wait that long. Bruce Wayne may have limits, but Batman doesn't. Bruce tries to argue that he's fine, but Alfred tells him that it's not up for debate. He is benched until further notice. As Bruce is left alone, he stares into the distance. "We'll see about that." In his first escape attempt, Bruce peeks out of his room with Alfred telling him not to even think about it. Attempt number 5, he tried to get through the window, all going according to plan, except Tim was already waiting for him at the bottom. As Tim helps Bruce back in, Bruce says that he'll pay him $1 million if he lets him into the Batcave, but Tim tells him no. Attempt 18, there was an entrance to the Batcave through the study. He decided if he can get there, he could, but Damian spins around catching Bruce, asking, "Are you going somewhere?" Bruce sighs. Apparently not. Attempt number 33, Bruce does succeed getting into the Batcave, except Jason is already there, stating that Alfred thought he might try something and asks for a hand. Bruce looks over and sees all of the Bat vehicles have their tires removed, and Jason tells him, "You'll thank me later." Bruce sulks as he begins to walk back upstairs, and Alfred asks what's wrong. Bruce begrudgingly tells him, "I've decided to rest. It'll be better for my injury." So Alfred helps him back up, telling him, "Most excellent decision, Master Bruce." The next one is GCPD. As the bat signal shines above the GCPD, Damian tells an officer that he's already examined the crime scene. They are clearly dealing with Victor Zsasz. They want to proceed with caution from here on out. The officer stares for a moment, telling him, "No offense, but shouldn't we wait for Batman? I'm just not exactly comfortable taking orders from a 6-year-old. Damien goes off on the officer with Gordon and Renee watching. And Renee asks if the new guy is from Metropolis, and Gordon says yep. So Renee sips her coffee. Clearly he didn't get the memo about Robins. It takes some getting used to. Remember when we first started out? Gordon thinks back to his first interaction with Dick Grayson as Robin, and Batman just pretended he wasn't there. Even though Dick was clearly jumping around for attention, Batman simply told Gordon at the time, "Don't worry, the kid's with me." Renee laughs, telling him that nothing is compared to being saved by one of them. Renee was getting ready to arrest two men, but they decided that they were going to fight. Jason stepped in, and in Jason fashion, he beat the men up, stating that he knows that he's awesome. Renee asked how old he was, and Jason told her old enough to kick her butt. Gordon says that he isn't so sure about that. Getting lectured by one of them is way worse, which he's referring to the time that Tim explained how Scarecrow's fear toxin actually worked. And when one of the officers asked a question, Tim told him to please hold all questions until he's finished. Renee scoffs, telling him that lectures aren't fun, but at least they don't solve the case for you. Stephanie just handed in a piece of paper stating that she answered all of Nigma's riddles 10 minutes after they came out. Steph told her that she knows it's been ages. You're welcome. Gordon sips his coffee, telling her, "We have the weirdest jobs, and it's all Batman's fault." And Renee toasts him. Amen to that. Steph readies herself as she tells the computer to begin the simulation again. And just as the targets appear, she rushes in to attack. She takes down the first wave and then the second, but as the third arrives, one of the targets is a gunman who already has her in his sights. As he pulls the trigger, the simulation ends and Steph shouts, asking, why can't she do this? Tim walks up with a little bottle of water, telling her that she should take a break. She's been at it for a while now. She tells him that she doesn't need a break, she needs to get it right. And Tim asks, please, just give him 5 minutes. She takes the water, slumping down. Fine. And Tim asks what's wrong. Why is she trying so hard? She tells him that he doesn't get it. He doesn't know what it's like to fight for your place here, to feel like you're one mistake away from having all of this taken away. She always felt like she had something to prove. First, it was not to be like her father. Then she wanted to show Bruce that she was worthy of the Robin mantle, and show Babs and Cass that their faith in her wasn't misplaced. That is why she has to work harder, to push farther. It's the only way that she can prove to everyone that she deserves to be here. Tim tells her that that doubt she's struggling with, he struggled with it too. It's like a sickness. If he could get rid of it for her, he would, but maybe he can help. They've seen each other at their worst and their best. And when he says that she has nothing to prove, she doesn't. Not to him, Bruce, or anyone else. She absolutely belongs here in the Bat family. Now he can believe in her, but it's up to her to believe too. After her break, Steph tells herself that she can do this. She doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. She can do this. So she begins the simulation once again and succeeds. She jumps in excitement, and then Bruce tells her nice work. She turns back, asking how long was he there, and Bruce tells her for just a few moments. You've been down here long? She takes off her wraps and tells him just a little bit, just working some things out. Bruce stops her, stating that he started down this path. He created Batman as a symbol, something to make his enemies afraid of him, to bring hope to things that could be better. But a symbol is perfect and people aren't. No one can live up to those ideals all the time, not even them. All they can do is their best, and her best is more than good enough. Steph says that she knows it is, and Bruce tells her good. Give them hell out there. She laughs, telling him that she always does. The next story is SOS. Bruce looks at the time, telling them, okay, car comes around in half an hour. Plenty of time to get everyone ready and out the door. Alfred said that I wouldn't be able to manage things while he was gone. Shows what he knows. Duke and Damien then enter the room, asking if they can get his help. They don't know how to tie a tie without Alfred around. Bruce tells them, of course, happy to help. Just go here and under here and over there. Damien looks at the lopsided tie, telling him that he's pretty sure that isn't it. Bruce leans in, stating that something must have gone wrong. Let me try it on myself. He stares in the mirror and begins his work, and gets the same result. And Duke asks, why don't we just call Alfred? There's no need for that. Besides, we shouldn't bother him. We will get this. So Bruce calls the next person that he can think of, Superman. Superman arrives. What's wrong? Perfect. How do you tie a tie? Wait, Bruce, did you call me about a tie? Do you know how to tie a tie? We don't have much time, Superman. What happened to Alfred? He isn't here. Can you help or not? Superman begins to go through the motions, telling him to tie it this way, then under that, and he should be good. Bruce looks at the tie and tells him, "It's inside out! Didn't you do this every day for work?" Superman yells back at him, "Do not take that tone with me! We'll figure it out!" So a few minutes later, Flash is telling him, No. You start with going over, then under, then through, then you go around again. Green Lantern begins to show a projection asking, "Are you even looking at what I'm doing right now? It's under, around, then through." Green Arrow asks, "Why don't we just ask the butler?" And everyone turns shouting, "He's out of town!" Bruce then chimes in, "We're running out of time. We can get this, Bruce, one more time." But Wonder Woman walks in telling them all, "I don't understand. Why don't you just not wear the tie? What are they going to do? Kick the richest person in Gotham out of a party for not wearing a tie?" Everyone stares in silence for a moment, and Bruce clears his throat. "Right. Well, good job, everyone." And he ends the transmission. And later, once Alfred returns, Damian hugs him, asking him to never leave again. The next story is Secret Identity. As Tim, Luke, and Duke all go out for lunch, Duke picks up his food and says that he has a question for them. How do they manage their secret identity? He might be getting a bit too much attention and he can't always explain the bruises that he's getting from the patrols. Luke says that it's one of the hardest parts of the job. On one hand, you want to tell people. On the other hand, it puts them all at risk. Duke tells him, "Yeah, I just hate lying all the time. But how do you get people to stop asking questions?" Luke tells him, "Well, maybe you could make up a believable story. I sometimes get into fights in tournaments and spars, which is sometimes true." Tim tells him, "Yeah, you could consider getting a shape-shifting friend to take your place so you can both be seen at the same time. Or maybe you could fake an injury and people will believe that you can't be a vigilante. Of course, that'll take a significant amount of time to commit to fake physical therapy." Duke asks how long is he talking? And Tim says that when he did this, he did about a year of physical therapy, but you might be able to get away with 6 months. Duke stares in shock and Luke says, "Or you could just lay low for a bit, see if it works." And Duke tells him, "Yeah, that sounds better," with Tim scoffing. "Whatever, my plans are good." It was a quiet day at the Watchtower as the Flash and Green Lantern talk about traveling when they hear a clacking noise. They look over to see Batman hobbling in on crutches and they ask him what happened. Is he okay? Batman tells them that it was nothing. But as he leaves, Green Lantern whispers that it must have been a bad fight. Flash says that he saw something about the Riddler on the news the other day. Maybe that was it. But as Batman goes to his seat, Green Arrow whispers to Black Canary that he heard that it was Bane, that Bane grabbed his leg and snapped it like a twig. Next, Aquaman tells Hawkgirl that Batman was dragged into the sewers by Killer Croc, and he almost had his leg bitten clean off. While everyone goes on about what they think happened, Superman and Wonder Woman ask why didn't he tell them about his leg? They could have prevented it from happening. Batman tells them, "It's nothing, it'll heal." What happened? Superman is inquisitively asking what happened. Batman scoffs, thinking about how it did happen. He was in the manor and no one was around, and he started skateboarding down the hall. It went fine, but surprisingly, when he stepped down the stairs, he tripped. He clears his throat. "Yeah, that's how it happened. I was attacked." Wonder Woman looks at him. "Really?" "Yeah, it was Bane and Riddler." "What about Joker and Croc?" "Sure, them too." Wonder Woman shrugs. "If you say so." "Yeah, definitely what happened." Detective work. Once everyone is seated, Stephanie folds her arms, stating that this will go a lot faster if one of them fesses up to it. Tim, Duke, and Jason ask what is it all about. No one has any idea what this is all about. Stephanie slams her hands on the table, telling them that somebody stole half of her turkey sandwich while she was grabbing a package at the front gate. And they were the only ones here, so one of them is the culprit. Duke asks, "Isn't Damian here too?" "Damian's a vegetarian. He's the only one that I know is innocent." She then takes the napkin that had her sandwich on it, and Ace sniffs it. "Okay, seek, find the thief." Ace stares at her for a moment, then jumps up, licking her face. And she sighs. "I should have known you wouldn't snitch. Respect, though." Stephanie then yells that she'll just have to check where everyone was today, and that'll tell her who stole it. First was Jason. He had spent his afternoon in the library. But to Stephanie's surprise, there are no crumbs left behind. Next was Duke in the study. But just like Jason, there's no evidence. Lastly was Tim, who was writing a report, and they all know he gets hungry when he writes, but she stopped as Damien opens the door asking if she can keep it down. He's trying to paint. And also he moved her sandwich to the fridge. Try not to leave food sitting out. He slams the door shut and everyone stares at Stephanie. Well, this is awkward. Next up we have Ransom. This is not how Tim planned his night. He could think of a million things he'd rather have done than get captured by some thugs. Sure, he could easily escape, but that's not what a scared citizen would do. So instead, he has to wait until they demand some ransom. Hopefully, sooner than later. As Tim is watching the clock, a light flickers for a moment and Jason appears telling the men not to move. Get on the ground! He then whispers asking, You let these guys get you? Seriously? Another man then asks, how did Jason find them so fast? And Jason tells them, well, you kidnapped a kid in front of a bunch of witnesses and 3 different security cameras, using a van that you rented with your real credit card, and then you brought him back to your real apartment. How could I have not found you? The thugs sigh and Jason asks, this is your first kidnapping, isn't it? And one of the men tells him, yeah, we didn't realize how many mistakes we made. Jason looks at them. You didn't mess up everything. You did manage to grab one of the richest kids in Gotham. And I'm still here, you know, Tim chimes in. Look, kid, shh, the adults are talking. He then goes back to talking to the thugs, asking, why are you guys even doing this? Time's that bad? And as Jason has a friendly chat with them, Tim unties himself and just leaves. After a few more minutes, Jason laughs. All right, guys, it's been fun, but I'm gonna have to knock you guys out now. The thugs ask him, why? Without responding, Jason knocks all the men out and asks Tim if he's ready to go. Tim just stares at him and leaves. What? What'd I do? Jason laughs himself to sleep working on his bike, stating that they're going to be better than new when he's finished. Across the cave, Tim and Stephanie are finishing up their sparring match when Tim steps out and almost trips on a wrench that was lying around. He yells at Jason, telling him that he needs to stop leaving his stuff everywhere. Jason tells him he's sorry, he's been working on the Batmobile. Guess next time I'll leave it broken. Tim storms off and Jason sighs, telling Stephanie that she might as well bring it over here since Tim is clearly a danger to himself and others. Stephanie asks what's the magic word and Jason says, spoilers the best? She laughs, telling him that she would have accepted please, but that works too. Stephanie grabs the wrench and it makes a scraping sound on the floor, which immediately sets off the alarms in Jason's mind, as it's the exact same sound as when the Joker dragged the crowbar to him. Stephanie holds up the wrench, but all Jason can see is the crowbar. He decides he has to get out. Now, there's no time. As he gets back up into the manor, everything swirls around him about that night. He doesn't want to go back there to his own death. Don't make him remember that night. It's all too much. As Jason backs himself into a corner, he hears a voice calling out to him. Bruce tells him, please, look up, Jason. Jason realizes who it is and he sighs. I can't. Bruce kneels down at his level, telling him, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay, Jason. Moments pass and Bruce asks if he knows where he is, but all Jason can do is think of the Joker there, standing over him with the crowbar. Bruce tells him he's in the manor, that he's safe. Touch the carpet, touch your clothes, ground yourself. Jason forces himself to listen to Bruce's words, and he's right. There's a soft carpet under his feet. There wasn't any carpet there. He's wearing a cotton shirt. It isn't his old uniform. He isn't Robin. After a bit of grounding himself, Jason takes a deep breath and says that he is in the manor. And Bruce says, that's right. You're safe. You're home. Tim is going to get you a weighted blanket if you want it. We're going to get through this. Once Jason is able to stand up, though, he takes himself to the dining room, where Alfred begins to bring him cookies and tea. He tells him that if there's anything he wants from the kitchen, all he has to do is say it. Jason takes a sip of his tea, and he tells him that he appreciates it. Alfred tells him to remember, there's no timetable for healing. Do what you need to do. Of course, Jason has the whole family help him with this ordeal, just like how Stephanie always has cat videos to help take her mind off of things. A few days go by and Bruce sits with Jason to check in on him, but to also tell him that he's proud of him. Why? Jason asks, and Bruce tells him, because he used to think ignoring the pain would make it go away, that if he closed himself off to everything and everyone, nothing could ever hurt him. It was wrong to think that, and you showed me that. I've messed up a lot of things between us, but I wouldn't trade a single second of time with you. Bruce gives his son a kiss on the head, and Jason says that he wouldn't trade their time either. As Bruce heads inside, Jason takes another deep breath, telling himself that dealing with everything that happens sucks, it hurts. But now, when the bad memories come, he's learning to handle them better. He's strong enough to heal. He learned that this isn't a burden that he has to carry alone. And even when things seem hopeless, he's going to be okay. The next story is World's Finest. It was a bright day in the Kent farm as Alfred knocks on the door to the Kents. Jonathan welcomes Alfred in and he says that he's parked the bat plane behind the barn. Hopefully that is all right. Jonathan laughs, telling him it's fine. Martha is waiting for him in the kitchen. After a bit of cooking, everyone sits down at the table, and Jonathan says that it's been too long since they've had one of these kinds of dinners. How are things back at Gotham? Alfred says that it's been the same. He's proud of Bruce and what he does, but it doesn't make him worry less. Sometimes he wished that Bruce had a little bit of Clark's invulnerability. Martha laughs, telling him that, trust her, just because Clark is invulnerable doesn't mean that they don't worry. Plus, it was pretty alarming when Clark's powers started to come in. The first time that she saw him lift a car over his head, now that was a shock. Alfred laughs. No more alarming than when Bruce returned home declaring that he wanted to dress up as a bat, I'm sure. But as Alfred and the Kents go on, Jonathan says that it's probably a good thing that they didn't invite the boys tonight. Clark is always embarrassed when they talk. Alfred asks what makes him think that he's not listening in right now. And Martha yells, because Clark is a good boy and he would never eavesdrop on his parents and their dear friend like that, now would he? Meanwhile, over in the Batcave, Superman yells out, "Oh no, she's onto us, Bruce." Bruce scoffs. "You should have let me plant listening devices. We've talked about this, not in my parents' home." Bruce stares and Superman yells, "Bruce!" Fine, no listening devices. The next story is Shovel Talk. As Duke gets ready for his morning workout, he opens the door to the manor when he runs into Cassandra and a young man. He quickly apologizes for bumping into them, but the young man tells him that it's all right. Duke then says that he didn't know that she had someone over. She tells him to go run. He leaves, looking over his shoulder to see the two hugging, and shrugs his shoulders, stating good for her. Later, as he runs into Tim, he asks how it's going, and Tim says that he's meeting Cassandra. She found a big lead on a case from the other night. Duke thinks to himself that she must be done with her date already, and Tim is stunned. What? She has a boyfriend? Duke yells, "I don't know if it's a boyfriend, I just saw her with a guy this morning." And so, of course, for the others, this becomes a topic of discussion on whether this young man was or was not, in fact, Cassandra's boyfriend. Damian asks if they're sure in the intel, and Tim says that Duke saw it with his own eyes. All the while, Duke is panicking. "Cassandra's going to kill me!" Jason then says that this is Cass they're talking about. They need to make sure that his intentions are good. Tim agrees. All right, we know he's coming by today. Stephanie can meet him at the door and lure him in while Duke distracts Cassandra long enough so that we can get answers. Guys, please don't make me do this. Duke begs, but Stephanie grabs him by the arm. "You heard the man!" Duke sighs as he knocks on Cassandra's door, and after a few moments of silence, he turns back. "Oh well, guess she isn't there." But that's when she opens it up, asking what is it. Duke tells her nothing at all, and she points out that he's sweating and shaking. Duke laughs. "What? No." After a few more minutes of glaring, he yells, "I'm so sorry, I accidentally mentioned your boyfriend to Tim, and him and the others are interrogating your boyfriend while I have you distracted. I never meant for this to get so out of hand, really, don't be mad." Cassandra waits for him to finish. "Not my boyfriend, just a friend." Duke asks, "Wait, what?" And after a few moments of awkward silence, he runs back to the study. "Wait, he isn't her boyfriend, they're just friends!" But inside of the study, everyone is staring, while Cassandra's friend sits there smiling. Tim gets up, pushing the young man out of the way, stating, "Well, it was nice meeting you. Can't wait to see you again. Cass is upstairs by now." As Tim and Duke slam the door shut, Stephanie bursts in laughing. "That went even better than I hoped for. Their faces are priceless." Jason realizes what's going on. "Wait, you knew?" She laughs. "We live in chaos." "Yeah, that tracks." Tim then says that if they leave now, they can probably make it halfway around the world before Cass hunts them down. And Duke cries, "I'm never going to tell Cass's secrets again." The next story is one more, part 1 and 2. The time ticks as it gets closer to 10:30 at night, and Barbara radios to Batman telling him that she has a visual on Two-Face. He's heading downtown. Batman tells her that he's on his way, keeping track, But that's when Jason radios in stating that he's still waiting for the intel on Croc. He needs to make the move now. Babs says that she's pulling up tracking data on Croc, and it looks like, yeah, he's in the sewers again, heading south. Spoiler then connects, asking can she pull the lab analysis on the homicide case she's got. She's got a hunch that needs to be confirmed. Babs says that she's on it, give her a second. These nights are fairly normal in Gotham, and even more normal for someone like Barbara, who is constantly asked for things throughout the night. But even as she powers down her station at 3:15, she's never really off the clock, even when the GCPD needs a hand. Now it's almost 7 a.m., and things are finally quieting down, at least so she thought. As Barbara grabs her phone, there's another alert, which she can at least send a tip in while she's getting ready for the morning. With no matter how many alerts she answers, there's always one more waiting for her, and when the stakes are that high, how can she stop? She can do one more, just one more. The next night, Barbara is back at it, guiding the family to each of their crime scenes, and as she tells Tim to take a left, she realizes that he needed to take a right, and she screams, correcting herself. Tim is confused. What is it, right or left? And she looks up again, telling him right, and Tim tells her he's got it. Barbara rubs her eyes, stating that she needs to get it together. Everyone is counting on her. Oh wait, I still need to get Bruce that report. While she gets to typing away, Nightwing tells her, hey, but Barbara tells him not now, she's working. Come back later. Nightwing asks when was the last time she logged off. And after a few moments of thinking, she pushes herself back, telling him it's been a couple of days. Maybe. So Nightwing asks, what does she need? She sighs, stating she just needs 10 minutes and maybe some tea. At that moment, there's another alert, but this time Barbara says the police can handle it and turns away. Later in her apartment, Nightwing makes her that tea and she tells him thank you. She didn't mean to worry him. Hey, it's all right. We've all been there, Babs. She laughs, telling him that she must have told Cass and Steph the same thing in training 1,000 times. You won't help anyone by wearing yourself down to nothing. And Nightwing chuckles. Yeah, it's hard advice to follow. So Barbara looks at her tea, telling him that it's hard sometimes to take a break. If someone gets hurt, that's on her. So Nightwing grabs a blanket, wrapping up Barbara. I know the feeling, we all do, but it's not true. We need to remember to take care of ourselves every now and then. You've done so much. It's okay for you to let it go for a while. Is there anything you need before I go? She tells him that she'll be fine. She just needs to crash for a bit. See you around, Boy Wonder. As he leaves, she smiles to herself, knowing that maybe she can take a little break, even if it's just only for a few moments. And our final story of season 1 is Night In. The night is cool as two crooks begin to break into a warehouse. One says that he isn't sure about this, and the one lockpicking tells him to relax. The bat signal isn't lit tonight. He's not here. They'll be fine. Then a voice says, about that, you should have listened to your friend. Superman stops the crooks, tying them up, dusting his hands off, telling them that it was easy enough. Covering for Batman has been a cinch so far. Still, it's surprising that Batman would take a night off. He never takes a break. Just then, a looming shadow with pointy ears grows over Superman. Ha! I knew you couldn't make it the whole night. However, as he looks back, he just stares. It's Harley Quinn wearing a very unconvincing Batman costume. Hey, what are you doing in my city? No super people in Gotham. Batman sighs, rubbing his eyes. Hiya, Soups. Got you good, didn't I? What are you doing? I was gonna ask you the same thing. This isn't your turf. Don't you know Gotham Knights are allergic to truth and justice? But if it isn't obvious, I'm covering for Batsy, duh. No, I'm covering for Batman tonight. Why would Batman ask you? I'm his best friend. After calming the twitch in his eye, Superman grabs his phone. I'm calling Batman. And Harley grabs her phone. No, I'm calling Batman. Over at the manor, Alfred answers the calls, telling them both that Batman is unavailable right now, and surely they can figure this out on their own. They are adults. Good night to the both of you. As Alfred hangs up, Bruce pokes in, asking if he needs to suit up. I can just... But Alfred tells him absolutely not. Now go finish your movie. The family is waiting. Bruce sighs. This was a good idea. I just hope that things are all right out there. I can assure you that they are. But while the Bat family settles in for movie night, back out on the streets, Superman and Harley continue to glare at one another. And after a few moments, Superman says, fine, we'll both patrol. All right, fine. Before leaving, Superman says, Batman's my best friend. In your dreams, space boy. And there you have it, the storyline of Batman Webtoons. Now, we have not started season 2. They did come back and they've been doing more of these. If you enjoy this, let me know and we'll come back, start doing season 2. But if you think that this was enough, then that's fine. We can end it here. So let me know in the comments down below if you want season 2 to begin getting covered here at Comicstorian, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you know when we're going to be continuing the series. Also, don't forget you get early access by joining our YouTube memberships, and you can also join us over at Patreon. Thank you guys so much for your continued support right here at Comicstorian, and I'll see you next time right here.